This is a daily occurrence on the streets of Washington, D.C. Plainclothed and uniformed police swoop down on people suspected of selling drugs.
You just sell syringes and needles? You sell all clean new ones?
Yes, sir.
You're concerned about...
It's nothing new. Washington police have battled open-air drug markets for the last few years. But now there is a new sense of urgency because people are being killed in record numbers. Officials say drug dealers from New York City and elsewhere have come to Washington to carve out a share of the city's drug trade. Washington's Mayor Marion Barry.
The New York contingency is heavily armed, unlike before where you had local people involved. And according to the police, the local drug dealers and drug sellers themselves have to become heavily armed. And I would say 80% of the murders we've had here have been drug users and drug dealers killing each other. They're just mean, and therefore life has no value, apparently.
This has been a violent day in our area as police in Prince George's County wrestle with a troubling multiple murder. 5 people were discovered shot to death late last night in Landover, and once again it's believed drugs are behind it all.
People have been killed in apparent battles between drug dealers, like the executions in January of 5 people in a Washington suburb, and for robbing drug dealers of drugs or money. Police say that's what the 23-year-old driver of this car did. He was machine gunned to death by a group of men as he sat at a stoplight in Washington in the middle of the day. The young man's mother was interviewed by a Washington television reporter.
I say to all the young black youths today to please leave the drugs alone. I don't want any mother going through what I'm going through. That was my firstborn. He didn't even live to see his 24th birthday. Something has got to be done.
The city's drug-related murders have included children as young as 12. Children often have been used as drug couriers. Not only are Washington's drug dealers apparently more ready to kill, police say they use the most sophisticated weapons. This machine gun, test-fired for us by Washington police, was confiscated from drug suspects. So were these weapons. D.C. police have captured a record number of guns, close to 600, since January 1st.
It's serious, dead serious. It's dangerous business out here. And those who try to tell on other people have to be very, very careful, because these guys will kill you. It's a multi-million-dollar business in Washington.
It's that kind of money that drives the drug wars. These are the drugs that make the millions Washington drug dealers are fighting over. The powerful hallucinogen PCP, a liquid often sold to dealers in innocent-looking bottles. They sprinkle it on marijuana and sell it. Crack, the cocaine derivative that's fast replacing PCP as the most popular drug on the Washington street market. The Washington market is particularly profitable and attractive to out-of-town dealers because drugs in Washington are in short supply and demand is great. D.C. Police Inspector Nelson Grillo oversees the narcotics division.
We don't have a large supply of drugs here. That's coming in from other regions, and particularly in the case of crack, whereas we understand crack would sell for $5 a vial on a street corner in New York City. Certainly they can realize a New York dealer who travels down here just for the day, and that does occur, could sell that for $20, $25. So just for the profit motive involved in it, it's worth a trip.
So, in effect, the success of the Washington police at controlling the supply of drugs keeps prices high and draws in profit-seeking dealers. Officials acknowledge that the drug markets that flourish in Washington's poor communities are supported by middle-class and working people who buy the drugs. In fact, a recent report by the Rand Corporation says the Washington area, one of the most affluent in the country, also has one of the nation's highest rates of consumption of illegal drugs. These young people are former drug dealers and users. They are now in a Washington-based drug rehabilitation program. They testify to the lucrative nature of the Washington drug trade. Program counselors did not want us to identify this young man who sold drugs in Northeast Washington.
Tell me about how the drug operation you were involved with worked. Mainly, we worked out down at the 7-Eleven and McDonald's store, and people would drive through, and we served them in their cars. It was maybe about 15 guys out there. All of them got cane, love boat, reefer, anything. We stay around there mostly about 24 hours a day and make money.
How much money?
We might put in about $5,000 a day. It's a lot of money to be made.
The shooting war over the valuable street drug markets is concentrated across the Anacostia River from Capitol Hill in the city's poor black neighborhoods. The city is 70% black, and so are the vast majority of those arrested for drugs and killed in the drug war. Drug violence has left these neighborhoods in turmoil. These children live within blocks of the sites of several drug killings.
You know, it ain't even safe around here no more, man, like it used to be. Can't even sleep in your house, man, without somebody shooting outside or selling drugs in front of your house or something like that.
Bonnie Johnson is a community organizer in another low-income neighborhood in southwest Washington. What goes on here?
This is 203 N Street. This is public housing property, and this is the alleyway that leads into the apartment building. At noontime, there's a lot of drug dealers here. They're usually out here with their friends waiting for people to come and make a deal, buy some drugs. Good morning. As you can see above, there's 2 holes where people usually throw their drugs up in those holes when the police comes. Now, the police usually are sitting here in the evening for, I guess, 5 to 10 minutes just to keep the traffic, drug traffic away. But other than that, when they leave, as soon as they leave and get out of sight, the drug dealers are back here.
DeEsther Greer has lived in the apartment building since 1984. What's it been like?
Hell. It's been just like hell. I mean, they bust the lights out, they push you down. It's so dark you can't see coming in the building or going out the building. And you can't say nothing to none of them. Seen a few people laying out here dead. You hear the shots and stuff.
Despite the fear and violence, many in Washington's low-income neighborhoods find it hard to say no to drugs. Drug money fuels the economies of poor neighborhoods and supports many of those not involved in the drug trade.
In some instances, I've heard that drug dealers are offering tenants a certain amount of money, maybe $2,000 or $3,000, to deal drugs out of their apartment.
The drug environment in Washington reaches down to the youngest children. Alberta Munlin runs a community center that overlooks one of the city's most notorious street drug markets. She holds tutoring sessions for neighborhood children to keep them away from the open drug trade.
The kids come to school so disillusioned, so unwilling to work because either their parent has been arrested or somebody's overdosed with drugs or something has happened to that child that they can't educate him.
Washington City Council member John Ray says the drug crisis won't change until the realities of urban poverty do.
If you are a 12-year-old black kid, living in southeast Washington, D.C., and you look at the opportunities, the opportunity of holding a good job, owning a home, educating your kids, finding a job that even plays health care. I mean, the future is not very bright for you. So to them, selling drug is a logical choice. It's a logical choice. And we've got to do something that will make that youngster realize that selling drug is not a logical choice. And you're not going to do that if every day when that child wakes up, he's faced with the surroundings of the ghetto. It's not going to happen.
Reading them stopping you have a roadblock there. Yeah, I see something. Here, from it.
I appreciate y'all being out here. Make me want to at least drive at night. I didn't stop driving at night, it got so bad.
City officials admit the problems of the drug trade won't end soon. They say they're doing all they can to reduce the drug trade's effects, from spot checks of drivers and vehicles near drug markets to a plan to issue police 9mm handguns that hold more bullets than conventional police sidearms. But Mayor Barry says Washington can't win the drug war on its own.
The federal government does, in fact, have the military might, the economic might, and the diplomatic might to stop it. They just won't stop it. They can stop Colombia from becoming the largest cocaine-producing country in the world. They can stop that. And Peru. They can stop Mexico from being a way station.
Like most big city mayors, Barry governs a city plagued by drug-related murders, poverty, and homelessness. But unlike other mayors, the 52-year-old Barry is also battling a personal image problem because of his freewheeling lifestyle. His behavior has raised talk of a recall vote and made him the butt of many jokes. The glare of bad publicity has shone on the mayor before, but new allegations have raised questions about the former civil rights leader's ability to lead the city. Kwame Holman has our report.
I mean, this Marion Barry thing is a big deal.
Marion, always so fancy-free around D.C. We see you in the limousine that is carrying Marion.
Stand by!
Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Coach. It's always a pleasure to be with you on Evening Exchange here at Channel 32.
On Monday night in Los Angeles, comedian Jimmy J.J. Walker at the Comedy Cafe
said that he was in Washington recently, and Mayor Barry gave him the kilo to the city. Ooh.
For years, such jokes about Mayor Marion Barry's alleged cocaine use and active nightlife were made only by Washingtonians, familiar with a decade-long string of questionable incidents involving the mayor. Now, a new incident has made headlines in publications from People magazine to the London Times. The mayor's latest problem began in this Washington hotel 3 days before Christmas. Following a tip, police were headed for room 902 to attempt an undercover cocaine buy. They never got there. Reportedly, they learned Mayor Barry was inside, visiting Charles Lewis, the target of the police investigation.
Mr. Lewis, did you offer May drugs?
The incident touched off a storm of press coverage, forcing Barry to explain and apologize.
At no time did I see any drugs, use any drugs, or have any knowledge of any drugs. I'm sorry. I apologize to our citizens. I apologize to the country for putting our city into this kind of situation.
Mayor Barry says he was not involved in calling the police away from his friend's hotel room and did nothing wrong.
I was apologizing to the public for them feeling embarrassed. The news media had taken this around the world, made Washington look like Sin City, that here's a mayor who's involved with drugs, and I have never used drugs, don't need to use them.
But federal authorities now are investigating whether Mayor Barry interfered with an investigation of what happened at the hotel and have called him before a grand jury twice to answer questions.
Mr. Mayor, is it embarrassing when the Conference of Mayors is in town to be subpoenaed before a grand jury and that being the front page of the newspapers?
Y'all did that.
A concurrent investigation into whether officials of Barry's administration misused federal funds has turned up the heat further on the mayor. The incidents may not lead to indictment of Barry, but his critics say the mere appearance of impropriety this time may spell real political trouble for the three-term mayor because of the effects of past scandals.
I think that you're a poor role model for blacks, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself for someone. No, I'm not ready to change my mind. I think you definitely ought to resign and get out of town, go back to Mississippi.
Philip, in the district, you're on WRC.
Well, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Philip.
This is ridiculous. I mean, this man has turned our city into a laughingstock, our government here. He hasn't done anything, as far as I'm concerned, for the people who elected him. I mean, enough is enough.
All right, Philip, thank you. So anyway, John is in his car here. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Joel. I think he's a disgrace. I think there are too many questions that cannot be answered.
Questions about former city worker Karen Johnson, who in 1984 was convicted of selling cocaine. Reportedly, she said she sold cocaine to the mayor, then recanted the statement. She served a 7-month jail sentence for contempt of court. Allegations that Johnson was paid not to name Barry as a drug customer have been investigated for 4 years. No charges have been brought.
I have no comment.
She said she'd had sex with the mayor. Barry, who is married, called their relationship personal. Another incident, widely published reports that Barry made attempts to visit this Washington model against her will. In 1987, Washington residents were outraged that while his city was paralyzed by a snowstorm, Mayor Barry remained in Southern California after attending the Super Bowl. And an allegation by workers at this now-defunct nude nightclub that Mayor Barry was seen using cocaine here. Despite the public allegations, Mayor Barry has never been indicted on drug or any other charges.
It pains me that people have accused me of things that are not true, guilt by association, and just keep rolling with it, keep repeating it, keep talking about it. When I ran for mayor in '78, I didn't run to be pope, or to be bishop, or to be a presiding elder, or to be a preacher. I ran to be mayor, and I figured my private life, as long as I didn't do anything illegal and do anything outrageous, was my private life. The rules of the game have changed now. I'm under scrutiny 24 hours a day. No other mayor in America is under this much scrutiny. I guess I've sort of become bigger than life.
It's not that so much that anybody has put an undue load on him in terms of scrutiny, but that he has invited repeatedly additional scrutiny by the failures of his behavior and good judgment.
Washington Post reporter and commentator Juan Williams covered Barry during his early years in office and has written often about the mayor.
If we look back to the beginning and try to get a sense of what was the expectation for Marion, I think the whole town wanted him to do well, and once he won, saw him as sort of the embodiment of young black political power.
It was during the civil rights movement that a young Marion Barry learned his political skills. The son of Mississippi sharecroppers, Barry cut short his PhD work in chemistry to become an activist.
I have always will and have been my own man.
After 2 short stints in elective offices in Washington, Barry became the upset winner of the 1978 mayor's race.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday.
Some who observe Barry today say he still is committed to the goals of the civil rights movement, but his image problems have hurt his ability to meet those goals.
We shall overcome someday.
Alvin Thornton is a political scientist at Howard University in Washington.
Black mayors of his type are not elected just to be mayors. They're elected to change things, to change economic life chance and economic and life chances, to change people's housing conditions and all of that. And he's not been able to do that primarily because that's the nature of urban America, but also because I think he's made some choices that have detracted attention and from his ability to do that.
Let's go. But Barry separates choices in his personal life from his political achievements. He says he has delivered during his 10 years as mayor.
Look at all of the totality of Marion Barry's service to this community, and look at the quality of life improvements. Look at the fact we've balanced our budget. The poor here have more services than anywhere in the country, the most comprehensive homeless program anywhere in the country.
Another criticism is that Mayor Barry has not stemmed a rising tide of drug-related violence concentrated in Washington's poor, predominantly black communities. Murders in and around the city's dozens of open-air drug markets are occurring at a rate of 1 every other day. City Council member Betty Ann Kane says rumors that Mayor Barry has used drugs harm his credibility.
The allegations hurt, and certainly the acknowledged association with people who have been convicted of drug use hurts.
There's a sentiment that I can't lead this war because of those allegations. McCarthyism, guilt by association kind of thing. I'm going to lead it anyway, and you're going to see a city that's going to be the model of the country in terms of how we deal with our drugs.
But Mayor Barry's high negatives have many in Washington saying they need a new mayor. Recently, nationally known homeless advocate Mitch Snyder considered backing a recall effort against Mayor Barry.
Well,
But Snyder said he decided leaders from the city's 66% majority black population should initiate any recall of the mayor.
Because we have no desire to cause additional unnecessary pain or embarrassment to the black community, we will not lead such a campaign. We believe it is the right and the responsibility of the black community of this city to recall Mr. Barry if he is to be recalled.
Feelings about Mayor Barry frequently split along racial lines. Reverend Ernest Gibson heads the Washington Council of Churches.
Someone was making an equation that social improprieties equaled leadership deterioration. And that just was not true. That's not the way the thinking was, especially in the black community. Black people have attacked the mayor and talked very strongly to him. But they have not come to the place where they were ready for recall.
I'm praying for you and your family, and we'll be all right.
If you decide to run again, over Washington, thank God, my vote.
What's your name?
I'm Hill.
Hill, good to see you.
All the way.
Thank you.
I know all your people in the back.
Thank you.
Indeed, among many blacks, especially Washington's large, low-income black population, Mayor Barry is called a hero.
He's a people's man, and that's why they respect him. That's why they idolize him.
Community activist Calvin Rolark publishes a weekly newspaper in Washington.
They see a hope in Marion Barry. Marion Barry is the type of person that will go in public housing and go through the back door and sit down and eat a bowl of beans. He likes to stay out, move in and out of clubs and say hello and shake hands with people, unloosen his tie and just feel at home. That's his relaxation. The man shouldn't be penalized because of that.
I have heard people saying to me over the last few weeks, gee, is this the kind of government that those people really want? And that those people aspect of it, as if somehow it didn't affect them, but it was those people, i.e. a majority black city.
However, Washington Post writer Williams says many black middle-class Washingtonians feel embarrassed by Mayor Barry's image problems.
People magazine wrote a story about it, and it made us look in this city like a bunch of small-town hicks who are being fleeced by a smart-ass politician. People really, feel that deeply, that this is our town, and we have an opportunity here to be a shining light of progressive black government, and that faith has been violated.
I think there's some people upset with me because I won't tower and bow down to what they may think ought to happen.
Those who may want Mayor Barry out may have a difficult time. Observers say Barry's opponents historically have refused to challenge him, leaving Barry free to build a political empire in Washington that will be hard to dismantle.
There are people whose political existences still emanate from that of the mayor's. And that doesn't just end because he's at some ramada, you see. And the highest economic levels in this city, which are all white, have stakes in the mayor's existence. And that doesn't just end overnight.
I would say that at this point, the odds are he could get reelected. But if you ask me what's for the good of the city, I'd say that may be an unfortunate circumstance.
These days, Marion Barry looks like he's campaigning, though he won't say whether he'll seek a fourth term in 1990. Reports that his personal problems may bring retaliation from the Congress that oversees the city's budget and laws do not seem to concern him. Nor do reports that some Washingtonians are seeking a candidate to replace him.
We got a whole kitchen for you to do, Mayor.
I'm ready for that, too. You got it, I'm ready.
Despite his problems, Barry is viewed as a formidable politician with many tools at his disposal. Is this the worst political trouble of your career, or are rumors of your political demise overstated?
Overstated. I've never lost an election in my life. Doesn't mean I might not lose one. I've always been told I could do something. So I don't pay any attention to those naysayers and those prophets of doom who say that Marion Barry's career is over, that I'm going downhill. No, sir, not me.